Can y'all hear me like this? No. Can you turn it down a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm a loud talker as it is. Well, I appreciate y'all coming out. We're gonna be fast here. I have to get to the law enforcement memorial and provide an award to the family of one of the gentlemen that were recently killed. And so I have a hard stop. You'll be walking out of here at 9:50. What we're going to try to do is conclude the question and answer part by 9:40, and because I'm sure there's be some folks that want to have a private conversation. But before we begin, we're going to be passing out a sheet of paper, and y'all tear off a piece. If you have some pens, I'm sure there's enough pens in this room. If there are some very specific questions that y'all have, that I can take to Energy Transfer to make sure y'all are getting the answers to your questions, right? Because that's what I see my role is being here, is making sure that y'all are getting all the questions that you have answered properly. And before we begin, I want to introduce Ashley Harris. Ashley is my field representative in my San Antonio office. Stoney Burke, here is my chief of staff. He likes to say he's from West Texas, but when he's out here in West Texas, Roscoe, and I don't know if y'all consider Roscoe to be West Texas. See, I know, hey, look, we're already starting off, rough. But no, so Stoney is down from Washington, D.C. This is a big issue for y'all, and I know that. I was here on April 4th, and we were doing a meet and greet, and some folks brought this issue to my attention. And we were able to start talking to folks and say, because, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. Energy projects like this, North American energy projects that, allow us to sell natural gas to our partners like Mexico, are things that I support in general, okay? But I also am a proud supporter of private property rights and transparency in business, right? And when y'all aren't getting answers to questions, that's when I get upset. That's my role. When I ran for office, I said I was running to be a representative and not a congressman, and I represent everyone, not just the big counties, not just the counties that voted for me. I represent everyone. A lot of folks said, "Will, don't come here today. People are going to be upset, folks are going to yell at you, folks are going to get angry and get mad." And I laughed. I said, that's my job. My job is to come out here and talk to y'all, understand the concerns, and make sure y'all are getting those questions answered. And so my job, and the reason I want to come here today, is to understand some of y'all's concerns and make sure those are getting answered. The folks that I'm talking with, after that April 4th meeting, I went and talked to the president and chief operating officer of Energy Transfer, and it was basically like, what the hell, guys? Why is there not a lot of information out there? Why does it seem like, things are changing whenever people are talking about these issues? And that's not acceptable, and these communities deserve better. There was a series of questions that we've gotten. We've gotten about 19 inquiries from phone, email, people calling the office about this. We've responded to some of the major questions. There's kind of like 4 major questions that kind of came through. And Ashley, you want to pass those out. These were the answers that we got from Energy Transfer from those questions. And what also I want to do is when we're passing out that sheet, if there's a specific issue, please write it down. We'll take it, and we'll go to the authorities at Energy Transfer to get the answers. After we chatted, they had those 3 meet and greets. One here, one in Presidio, one in Marfa. I think those caused more questions than answers. I don't think someone who's been with the company for 2 weeks is probably going to be able to answer all of y'all's questions. And so I spoke with the Chief Compliance Officer at Energy Transfer on Memorial Day, and they want to come out and do another event here in Alpine on the 4th of July. And one of the, so look, I can give them feedback. Again, I'm not an Energy Transfer employee. Let me make that very clear. But you know, I can make sure we get the answers to the powers that be in order to get your questions answered. Here's what I know. Here's what I know. This is a liquefied natural gas pipeline going from Midland to Presidio. It's going to be buried. They have said that there's going to be no compressor stations from Midland to Presidio in the first 10 years. They said after 10 years there may be a need for one. There's roughly 300 landowners from Midland to Presidio that have been contacted by Energy Transfer because the proposed route is going through their property. They've heard from 54% of those folks that have agreed to do the first phase, which is the survey. Another 25% have agreed to the survey in principle in order to, but they haven't set the details of the date. On Memorial Day, when I chatted, I said one of the biggest issues I've also been hearing a lot about is that the proposed map has changed a lot, and there's a number of versions out there. And the answer I received was that there have already been some conversations with landowners, and that based on those conversations, they've tweaked the location of where the landowner wanted the pipeline to go. All right, and so these are some of the reasons for the maps changing. The final map will probably not be finalized until 95% of the folks that I've been talking to the landowners have agreed and have been talked to. This is the gas is going directly to Mexico. This is a group called CFE. It's going to be the ultimate person buying the natural gas. As of right now, there are no plans to, and this is an improper term, and I apologize, tap the line to provide natural gas to local communities. There's no plan for that. It's a possibility to do something like that, but that's a pretty significant investment. Yes, ma'am.
With all due respect, Mr. Hurd, I appreciate the dust on the boots, guys. But you're telling us something we already know. Okay. We would love to use your time in a better way.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. If y'all, I just want to make sure we had a baseline. So let's stop there and start with questions. Yes, ma'am.
Could we cut to the chase? Everybody here has heard all this stuff from Energy Transfer Partnership. And we would like to know if there's anything you can do in your position to stop this pipeline.
There will be no vote in Congress on this pipeline. The only federal piece to this is that they have to apply for a presidential permit, and that's for where the pipeline goes across the international border to Mexico. And that will be decided and reviewed by the State Department, and the State Department hasn't gotten a request for the presidential permit yet. So that is the federal piece. And again, I think my role is making sure that if y'all have questions, that y'all make sure you get them answered. Right? That's one area. We're going to go here and then we'll come back here.
If they're not planning, they don't have any taps organized they don't have any taps organized where cities are getting fuel, how can they call themselves a gas utility? And eminent domain.
Right. So that's a good question, and Stoney, I need you to write that down so that we can ask the question. I'm not a gas expert. That is something. So I know they've applied they've received a T4 from the Texas Railroad Commission, and the Texas. This is a question to be addressed to the Texas Railroad Commission because they're the ones that are overseeing that process. So we can help try to find out the exact answer to that. I don't know the answer right now. No, and look, that's good to know. That's why I'm out here to understand that. We go here and then let's do something. How do we stop the presidential permits? There is going to be a period where I think that comments are solicited, and that's the period to do this. There have been similar examples of this kind of permit that Energy Transfer will be asking for in the southern part of the state. So there is examples of where the State Department has already approved those types of requests. Part of it is what the State Department is doing is it's an environmental impact study, and that's part of their process when they review these thoughts. So talking to and providing comments to the folks at the State Department, is something that is absolutely something that I would encourage. And we can find the specifics in how to navigate that, right? And then we go here, and then we go here.
Yeah, this is a question for you, Mr. Congressman. You've said this twice now, how can you simply define your role to us as passing questions along to EFT when we ourselves can communicate with them and we're the ones who are sitting here terrified about what's happening to our region, to our land, and if you're just, how can you just say that you're just going to pass our questions along here? Is there nothing more we can expect from you?
Well, my job is, what else do you need me to do, right? If you're not right. Well, again, right. So this is a issue that is with the Texas Railroad Commission. This is a state issue as well. We can look into the State Department issue, and at the end of the day, for me, this is a personal property right issue, and I want to make sure the landowners because they're the ones that can stop this as well by saying we're not going to work with Energy Transfer.
Which they take by eminent domain if we try to stop them. But they'll do it.
But the eminent domain process is you still have to go through courts. It's still a legal proceeding. It's not as if they can raise the wand and do that.
They're going to go take us through a court system that is going to break us as people in this area simply so they can finally illegally seize our lands in the end.
Right. Look, I recognize your concerns, and that's why I want to try to come out here and understand these and figure out what the issues are, so I can be of help, right? And we're still trying to figure out. And ma'am, we're gonna get right here, and then you. Yes, ma'am. There's a lot of folks that wanna ask questions.
Thank you. Mr. Hurd, tell me how much personal contact you've had with ETP Pumco. What do you think their story is? And also, I'd like for you to know, or I'd like to ask you, what do you feel this room is trying to tell you? What do you know right now how we feel about this pipeline?
Sure. So, first question: what contact have I had with the folks at Pumco? Personal contact, I haven't. ETP, like I said, I've spoken to the gentleman who's the president and chief operating officer and the chief compliance officer on those issues. And what do I feel that everybody in this room is? Everybody in this room is against the pipeline, and they want to say stop, right? And that's loud and clear. So I appreciate it. And if I can, real quick, by show of hands, and this may be easier. What we'll do is, if somebody wants to, if we want to ask a question, I think if y'all want to make a line here, and or we can keep walking back and forth. There's a lot of folks, and I want to get to as many questions as we possibly can. There was another part.
I was curious, because you did talk to ETP, and so did they contact you or did you contact them?
I contacted them. I contacted them after my last meeting on when I was here on April 4th to figure out why they weren't getting more information to y'all the way that, you know, because there was a lot of, they hadn't engaged people. I think there was a lack of transparency, which is unacceptable, and so that's why I talk to them and say, you know, what the hell? Why have y'all not engaged the community?
And then if I may, in a nutshell, can you tell us what their answers were?
That's what I was trying to do at the beginning, and apparently y'all have already heard all that about, you know, the basics of the pipeline. And so this is all stuff that y'all have obviously heard. I can recount it, but some of that is in that document that I provided. All right, here we go.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Congressman Hurd, for being here with us. I just wanted to stress something of importance. You're familiar that Energy Transfer is also correlated with Regency company. There's subcontractors, subsidiaries, or whatever you want to. Anyway, you mentioned compliance. There surely has to be on a 143-mile stretch, there has to be compressor stations. This is a big fat lie saying that there are going to be no compressor stations. One of the things is we would love for you to do for the 23rd district, for the people here in this county, is to do an inquiry, an investigation, whatever it takes, because talking to people in the oil field from Fort Stockton, Pecos, and all that area that are coming this way, they're associated with Regency and Energy Transfer. A lot of these individuals are overworked, underqualified. So we want to talk about compliance. What would you do in your position to start doing an inquiry for the people of the 23rd district? This is laying aside all party issues. No one thing what we're faced with. Our governor and our Tea Party is pushing to do away with the home rule. That's going to make it harder for us. So today we need to know where you stand, how much of an inquiry investigation we'll do with either Railroad Commission, OSHA, whatever it takes for the people. Thank you, sir.
That's why I'm here, is to understand these things and make sure that we're, you know, doing the issues and doing the things that the community wants to do, right? I can't promise, you know, anything, right? But you will know one thing. I'm going to fight to make sure that y'all get hurt, right? It's that simple. And you know, I don't think this is a Republican or a Democrat issue, right? This is why I'm here. And again, my job is to represent people that don't agree with me. My job is to represent people that I may disagree with. My job is to represent everybody. And I take that duty responsibly. Real quick, by show of hands, how many people live in Brewster County? Okay, put them down. How many are in Presidio? Great, thank you. Put them down. And Jeff Davis? Got a few. How many of y'all own land where Energy Transfer is proposing the pipeline go through? Okay. Proximity. Okay.
Proximity?
Yeah, excellent.
Everybody in this
Right,
town is
absolutely.
proximate.
Right. Excellent. Thank you. Next question, sir.
I think we got to get to a point where anything that comes from the mouth of the energy chemical industry has about as much reliability as all the guarantees that 3 Mile Island is perfectly safe, Exxon Valdez is perfectly safe, what could possibly go wrong? They just had a blowout of a pipeline in Santa Barbara, despoiling their heritage wildlife area. Enough's enough. I mean, to think that anything they say has credibility is to accept that the world is flat as this piece of paper of theirs. Now, when you start to wake up to that reality, that nothing they say has credibility, but to push their bottom line down our throats, then we know what's at the heart of this. They need to push that pipeline into Mexico like you got to carry coals to Newcastle. Mexico has enough of its own natural resources. They don't need this pipeline. So the pipeline is unnecessary. It's just a corruption of any value. Now, what they're trying to do is get the last drop of polluting fossil fuels out of the earth and into their pockets. Fossil fuel is dead. It's gone. It's done enough to harm the environment of this planet. We've had it. Now, if that wasn't so, folks who also know about investment and finance wouldn't be divesting their fossil fuel portfolio. The Rockefeller Family Foundation is divesting. Now, what's the worst that can happen if this pipeline goes? 3 Mile Island goes. What's the worst that can happen if nuclear?
Now cut your mic.
Or solar power generator? Stops working. If the clean energy stops working. What's the worst thing that happens versus the fossil fuel? Come to realize, sir, black piece of paper, that's what we're talking about. The world is drowning.
Fix the microphone, sorry. You want maybe turn around and talk to everybody and answer the question? I'm just thinking of this way.
The law of eminent domain says that eminent domain can be applied only if there is a clear public good that is going to be served. All right, we were given some hooey that there would be a tap into Presidio and that was the public good that was being served. You have informed us that there is no such plan. So my question is, what is the public good that allows Energy Transfer to apply eminent domain?
Great question, and they were very clear. They were very clear to me that this was not going to be used. The line was going to be tapped. Whatever the appropriate word is for local consumption. So.
We don't want it.
We don't want it.
Right. Look, it's a valid question. Valid question. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely valid question. And look, some other issues, about what happens if there is some problems, with the pipeline. How is the community? Is the community, or are the emergency resources of the city or the county prepared to deal with something like that? What is that impact as well? And I think those are questions that haven't been answered, or to understand what's going on in other places.
Okay, my question is actually for you and for all the other congressmen. You said that you have no vote. But I disagree with that because you guys are passing Senate Bill 709 that takes away this sort of representation right here. You also just passed House Bill 40. This legislation is what's going to cripple our voices. And I think everyone in this room, and I believe you, Representative Hurd, understand that that is exactly what that legislation is for.
No, thank you for that. And those bills are at the State House or in Austin that were passed. These are not things that we are voting on or have jurisdiction over up in Washington, D.C. Those two specific bills that you're talking about. And that's where, and again, look,
Who's fighting for us down here?
Look, I'm trying, right? Right, and that's why I'm here. Who else has come out here to try to hear these concerns, have these conversations? Say that?
State rep.
Right.
No, but the problem is, we can't even get a hold of him.
Right.
Well, we're running out of time.
Right.
Let's be polite.
Does anybody else know that the Lajitas owner is the CEO of Trans-Pecos?
Yes.
All right.
Kelsey Warren. Kelsey Warren is the owner of Energy Transfer, and he owns.
How long has this pipeline been planned, though? How long is it behind the scenes like planned?
So the question is how long has the pipeline been planned? I don't know the answer to that. But this is not like it's a new thing. To have applied for a T4 actual pipe. Y'all know this better than anyone. Is going up at this facility here to be pre-stationed. You wouldn't be doing something like that if there was not some that where it's going to go and how long it is. So I don't know how many months that this has been in development.
Congressman, thank you so much for coming out and hearing what we're all saying. And we're all saying it. It's totally nonpartisan. And you're seeing people from all across the board. And we are the people that you do represent. We, as the people you represent, and I know you have been doing that, very representing us, but you're on our side, that you understand exactly what these issues are, and that we're up against a Goliath that is not just a giant Goliath, but a very evil one in the way they have done their practices. We're looking at situations where, yes, they're saying they're doing it without any junctions, nothing happening. What do they have to do when they say they're going to open it up? are those regulatory systems that may still be in place, probably not in place anymore, because those were taken away from us 15 years ago when we were able to keep radioactive waste out of Sierra Blanca. What did they do in return? They secretly put it in another location, and they took away the very the regulatory systems that saved us in that situation, and now we have very little to stand on. We're asking you, as our representative, to let this be known and to fight with us. Not just say you represent us, but you fight alongside us, and you are just as against what is happening. And let the people in Texas who are doing the bad things they're doing know this. And let us have a representative who will stand up for us. And we will expect to hear that, because whether or not it is already a year of political intrigue, you are going to be up against an opponent who already has stated that he would not be on the side or trying to mamsy-pamsy his way through all of the slosh. He would be on our side. And that's what we're asking of you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I know that it's a charged, passionate room, but we are so thankful that you're here. It means a lot. My name's Katie. I live in Presidio County. I work with Big Bend Conservation Alliance, which has been trying to help landowners that are in this situation, as you've already heard, of being told that this is coming across their land, whether they like it or not. And I would like you to know, just for your information, that there are landowners in this room that are ready to seek legal counsel on this, that the tap is not anything. It's not, it does not satisfy any sort of claim of public utility. If they even put that hole on the pipe, it's 12 miles from Presidio. How is it 14? 12 to 14. And Presidio can't build infrastructure out there. The tax dollars that they will get from the pipe does not pay for that infrastructure. So it's the short end of the stick, and they keep telling Presidio that they're getting something, and it's disingenuous. But anyway, my question and my request is, because you are in Washington, because you are able to talk to people that we cannot reach. We are a small community. We need as much voice and help as possible. That if you can encourage environmental studies, if you can encourage more investigation on these federal permits, I would please ask you to do that to the best of your ability, because we need you to do that. And I think I'm not the only one in this room that would love to have you pursue that if you can. Because it's the last place in Texas that this infrastructure and industry is not. These landowners have delicate pieces of property that they want to protect. And if you're able to encourage an environmental study or anything that would make this a more thorough process on the federal permitting front, please do so. Yeah, thank you.
I'll be fast. Thank you for coming. And I was going to say something similar, because if the Railroad Commission is not the agency that determines if this qualifies for eminent domain, I assume it would be FERC at the federal level, which may be something that you are involved with, and on a federal level, please represent us. It may be against your personal views. You had stated at the beginning that you're in support of this, but we aren't. We live here, you don't. This is our homes, these are our homes. Our good neighbors have put in this lovely staging area right in our neighborhood in Sunny Glen. Are we looking at a compression station in 10 years? When they've told us no compression for 10 years, a compression station is huge, I do believe. And I would like to think that in 10 years, or whatever the magic number is, they probably won't even own it anymore. These things change hands quickly. Who will we be dealing with then? Can we get answers to those kind? Can you get us answers to that? I If you're a compression station.
No, absolutely, because here's what happens, and part of this would have to begin with the negotiation right now about what's going to happen 10 years after the fact. And look, they're saying 10 years. There's a reason for that. Why is that the number? So you're absolutely right. There's a lot of questions about how does this play out in the future. The question on FERC, as of right now, Texas Railroad Commission and State Department are the two regulatory agencies involved in this in the Trans-Pecos pipeline. And we've had a number of conversations to figure that out, and we'll go back and double check. But it will be the State Department will be the authority that's looking into
Texas
that.
State.
No. The U.S. Department of States. They will be the one that provides the presidential permit, which includes all the other regulatory and environmental studies and things like that. So the federal State Department is the one that will be doing that piece of the puzzle, not FERC.
And so, I thought FERC was federal.
No, FERC is federal, but so because this is an LNG pipeline, State Department has the jurisdiction and the authority, not FERC.
And you can help us there.
Yes.
Help us there.
Yeah.
Please help us there.
This is receive the message loud and clear, right? I'm a professional intelligence officer, by training, and part of that is collecting ground truth. And I think this has been pretty clear. Y'all's opinions here today. So and look, that's why I'm here, right? I'd be lying if I said this is not the most comfortable of conversations that we had. But look, it doesn't matter. Again, my job is to be here. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Representative Hurd, I really appreciate you coming out to visit with us today. It's not always easy. I'm a third generation farmer rancher here in Husband County, which one of the pipelines would go through in our northern part of the county to San Rosario. And two things I quickly ask you. Number one is that your party seems to be, I want to say this, I worked with Congressman Bonilla, who was a Republican, for many years. Susan Curry did too, and many of us, to fight the radioactive waste dump and the compact, which would make my home of Sierra Blanca a national dumping ground. So it's not a partisan thing to us. We work with Republicans or Democrats. But it seems the Republican Party and Governor Abbott and the legislature wants to take away home rule and local control from us. Even with the city limits of Alpine. Counties can't make ordinances like cities can, but cities at least deserve that right. So I would urge you to talk to your fellow people in your party that our property rights and our home rules and our local control is being eroded. And this used to be a mainstay of the Republican Party. It's sacred private property rights. So the last thing I would ask you is, the last part is FERC doesn't seem to have much teeth. We need them to do a thorough permitting process and not just say, we're not going to do anything because it's not an interstate pipeline.
Thank you, and thank you for coming over.
Good morning. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I'm in the Leave Me Alone party.
I think you had some new converts as well.
It's pretty simple. It's a real simple game. This is an international pipeline. You said it. Apparently the COO said it. These guys showed up and said, they showed up at their meet and greet and said, oh, no, it's the intrastate. And I asked the guy, I said, so how's that? And he said, because our portion stops in Texas. And I said, so the gas just wafts across the river and they gather it up over there? He kind of stared at me. I don't know. These guys have been lying to us since they got here, period. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not interested in anything they have to say after that. So I don't want answers from them. What I want is horsepower. What I want is we don't even know, I've never heard that it's liquefied natural gas. Until 10 minutes till this morning. We don't need, I don't care what Kelsey Warren has to say anymore. They've lied to us, they've contended, they put it in print, they took big ads to lie to us. They're done. Who thought putting this through a residential area of Alpine is a good idea? We have wildfires here that spark real easy. Antelope can't escape. Antelope are the fastest land animal in North America. You have to be in a cart out on the fires here. We cannot afford it. I'm one of the couple hundred people that live in Sunny Bloom that are going to be trapped when this thing blows up. We got nowhere to go. So when the politicians show up and say, oh, we never could have imagined this, and I want you all to stand there and say, well, you were warned. Because I'm speaking. So we need horsepower. We don't need, I don't care what they have to say. We need help. We need horsepower. Thanks.
Thank you for coming and listening to us, Congressman. I'm Pilar Peterson. I live here in Alpine. I have a ranch in Presidio County. I would just like, you're here to gather information, and one thing you said really stuck hard with me. This is not an issue about the rights of 300 landowners. This is about protecting this area, this watershed, these fragile desert ecosystems, these dark skies, and this very limited water source from major industry, lighting, truck traffic, dust, pollution. We don't need it here. This is Big Bend. This is the last place. We're all landowners. We're all ranchers here. We won't have this pipeline. We need your help. We ask your help. If we don't get your help, we will not give up. Please take that back. Thank you.
I'm Virginia Brotherton, and I just have one question for you. Are you a member of ALEC, A-L-E-C? It's the American Legislative Exchange Council, and I'd like for you to look that up and see why I ask you that question, because I do know that you have accepted oil and gas money for your being reelected. Thank you.
Yeah, we're not a member. We're not a member of ALEC, and we'll look into what it is. So, yes, ma'am. And I think you're going to be the last. You're going to be the last question.
Usually, when projects like this happen, there's environmental studies before, during, and after. I was just wondering who's doing these studies and where. And the pipes going across the Rio Grande in 2 places above the national park. I'm worried about the water there and the effect downriver, and it's unbelievable the transparency that's just out there from this company.
The lack of transparency.
The lack of transparency. And I don't know if you watched Univision's 3-part special. Mr.
Adolfo Muniz
went to Mexico and actually talked to the people of Mexico, and they do not want this pipeline. They have their own natural gas, and he's a partner with Kelsey Warren, and he made his billions of dollars sitting a monopoly on the phone system there in Mexico. And I was just wondering, are they going to have a monopoly on the natural gas in Mexico also? I mean, it just makes no sense. So what if you hear and then you don't give a packet to it? How is it beneficial for us?
I don't know who's doing the environmental study, but we can find out. And CFE, which is a Mexican parastatal, they really are the monopoly on natural gas and energy. It's kind of like their Pemex, which does oil and gas. It's a government run entity.
So they'll use our resources and not their own. I mean,
Well,
save them 20 cents a gallon. I mean, I don't see what the payoff is.
But the site that they're building at, I think everybody's forgotten that the train just derailed there a few years ago too, at that spot where they're doing it in Alpine.
Mr. Hurd, that's my husband, and I always butt in front of him. So I have one question, and maybe I should ask Stoney this question. Can you tell us what your plan of action is after you leave this meeting and leave Alpine today? What is your plan of action? Where does it fall in your priority list of things to get done?
Right, so the plan of action is to take all these questions that y'all have given us here today and find answers for them, right? And in finding those answers, it's going to help us figure out what's the next step and the step after that. So as a priority, this has been a priority for us since April 4th, when we were here last time. So we're going to make sure that we get these answers back and articulate what's the next step.
And then, who was your go-to person? Who would Stoney contact? He was contacting somebody. Do you have a contact person at this end?
Is there someone that you suggest?
I'll be happy to do it. Or we've got one person by the name of David Kelly.
I'd rather, instead of you wasting your valuable time in conversation with Energy Transfer, that you would spend your valuable time contacting the Texas Railroad Commission and other regulatory agencies as to why they're even interested in visiting with these people, because it is not in the interest of anyone in the state of Texas to have this pipeline built.
Well, thank you for that. And ladies and gentlemen, I apologize that we have.
know that we don't want to view July the 4th. We'd like to enjoy our July the 4th.
Right. No, look, if that's, I'll definitely communicate that back. Yeah, write that one down, Stoney.
Well,
yes.
If truly their Rick Perry is on the board of directors.
Yes, he is.
Well, there's one of your answers right there.
So, ladies and gentlemen, again, I know we can spend all day having this Q&A. I appreciate the honest feedback. You know, I know that's one thing. Whenever I come to Alpine, I'll be able to get. And it's like I said, it's an honor to represent y'all. And send us the questions, send us the comments. We'll get this stuff back to y'all. Make sure you sign up so we have your contact information. And I appreciate everybody coming out today.